Hello friends, I am Nalinikanta Jena, Senior Lecturer in Physics, Bharuneswar Mahavidyalaya, Jajpur. Our today's topic is CBCS pattern Physics Honors Core 1 and our topic is recapitulation of vector. Dear students, you must have studied vector analysis in your plus 2 career or in your 11th class. Now, this core 1 physics honors paper deals with vector calculus and you have not studied in your 11th or plus 2 career the calculus of vectors. Before switching over to the details of calculus of vectors, let us first have a brief idea regarding the recapitulation of vector. That means, we have to give a recap to the vector analysis. So, let us begin with the term what is a vector quantity. I know it is known to you, but let us have a discussion to update ourselves. So, what is a vector quantity? So, before knowing to a vector quantity, let us have an idea about a scalar quantity. Now, question arises, what are these quantities? Vector quantities and scalar quantities both represent the physical quantities. So, let us first start with the term what is a physical quantity. What is a physical quantity? It is known to you, a physical quantity is a measurable quantity in terms of which the physical phenomena are expressed. Physical quantity is a measurable quantity in terms of which physical phenomena and the laws associated with them are expressed. Physical quantity is a measurable quantity in terms of which the physical phenomena and the laws associated with them are expressed. The common examples of physical quantities are example mass, length, time, force, work, power, energy, etc. All are physical quantities. To have a systematic study regarding the physical quantities, a physical quantity needs three basic characteristics for its complete specification. A physical quantity requires three basic characteristics for its complete specification. A physical quantity requires three basic characteristics for its complete specification. At best three basic, because some of the quantities require only one characteristic, whereas others requires two characteristics and some others require all the three characteristics. These characteristics are number 1, numerical value, number 2, unit, and number 3, direction. These characters are numerical value, number 2 is unit, and the third one is direction. Some physical quantities which require only numerical value for their complete specification are known as numbers or ratios. In physics, there are certain quantities which require only numerical value and they are termed as numbers or ratios, like coefficient of friction is a number, so it is also a physical quantity. There are certain other physical quantities which require both the numerical value and the unit, and in literature is termed as multiplication in mathematics. So, the physical quantity which requires both numerical value and unit are known as scalar quantities, and the physical quantities which require all these three characteristics, that means numerical value, unit and direction, that means the product of numerical value and unit is known as magnitude. So, the physical quantity which requires both magnitude and direction may be a vector quantity, must not be a vector quantity. So, let us have an idea regarding the scalar and vector quantities. Our topic is recapitulation of vectors, that means we have to go through in detail to the vector analysis. Now, the physical quantity which requires only numerical value is known as a number, and the physical quantity which requires both numerical value and unit, that means which requires only magnitude, because magnitude is the product of numerical value and unit. That is why the physical quantity which requires only magnitude is known as a scalar quantity. So, let us write scalar quantity. It is the physical quantity which requires only magnitude for its complete specification. Example: mass, length, time, temperature, work, power, energy, etc. All are scalar quantities. And these scalar quantities obey algebraic addition. Number 1 point, the scalar quantities obey algebraic addition. That means the quantities which are scalars, they can be added algebraically. For example, mass is a scalar quantity, so we can add 2 kg of mass with 3 kg of mass and we will get 5 kg of mass, because mass is a scalar quantity and can be added algebraically. Number 2, the scalars must possess a magnitude that is numerical value and unit. A scalar quantity must possesses a magnitude which is the product of numerical value and unit. Number 3, scalar quantities may or may not have directions. Which has no use to explain a scalar. That means some scalar quantities do have directions, like direct current is a scalar quantity, but it has a direction. Time is a scalar quantity, but it also possesses a direction. So, this direction has nothing to do with the explanation of scalar quantities. Now, what I have told, a physical quantity which requires only numerical value is a scalar quantity, is a number or ratio. The physical quantity which requires both numerical and one direction, numerical value and unit, is known as a scalar quantity. Now question arises, if a physical quantity possesses all the 3 characteristics, numerical value, unit and direction, that means magnitude and direction, then what happens to it? It may be a vector quantity. Then what is a vector quantity? What is a vector quantity? It is a physical quantity along with magnitude and direction which obeys commutation law and the law of geometric addition can be called as a vector quantity. So, what is a vector quantity? It is a physical quantity along with magnitude and direction which satisfies commutation law and the law of geometric addition for its complete specification. That means a vector quantity requires magnitude and direction and also satisfies commutational law and law of geometric addition. That means if a physical quantity possesses magnitude and direction and satisfies commutation law and geometric law of addition, then we can call it as a vector quantity. If a physical quantity possesses both magnitude and direction, may not be a vector quantity, because to be a vector quantity it should satisfy the commutation law and the law of geometric addition. So for a physical quantity to be a vector, number one, necessary condition it should have magnitude and direction. Sufficient condition it should obey commutational law and geometric law of addition. Now, any physical quantity having magnitude and direction may not be a vector quantity. Just before I told you, electric current, direct current has both magnitude and direction, but it is a scalar quantity. Time has both magnitude and direction, still it is a scalar quantity, because they do not obey the commutation law and the geometric law of addition. That is why these two, magnitude and direction, are the necessary conditions, and the commutation law and the geometric law of addition are the sufficient conditions for a quantity to be a vector. The examples of a vector quantity are velocity, acceleration, momentum, force, torque, etc. These are the vector quantities. Now, representation of a vector. A vector quantity can either be represented symbolically or by graphically. Symbolically, it is represented as a symbol or a letter with an arrowhead over it, whereas graphically it is represented as a straight line with an arrowhead. The straight line represents the magnitude of the vector quantity, whereas the arrowhead represents its direction. So, a vector quantity can be represented either symbolically or graphically. Symbolically, a vector is represented by a symbol or a letter with an arrowhead over it. For example, force is a vector quantity and can be represented as F with an arrowhead. Velocity is a vector quantity, can be represented as V vector. Torque is a vector quantity, is represented by the symbol tau with an arrowhead over it. Similarly, graphically, a vector is represented by a straight line with an arrowhead like this. It is the graphical representation of a vector quantity. The straight line represents the magnitude of the vector and the arrowhead represents the direction. If we draw these two graphs, here both the vectors have same magnitudes with different directions. If another vector is here, then in these two vectors both have different magnitudes with same directions. Important points. Number 1, a vector quantity must possesses a magnitude and a direction. Number 2, even if the magnitude is 0 with direction, then it is known as a null vector or zero vector. And since we require magnitude and direction to represent a vector, so the value of a vector quantity will change only when its magnitude or its direction or both change. So, number 3 point, the value of a vector quantity will change when its magnitude changes or its direction changes or both magnitude and direction change. The value of a vector quantity will change if its magnitude changes or direction changes or both the magnitude and the direction change. Number 4 point. If a vector is displaced along a line parallel to itself, then its value will not change because neither its magnitude nor its direction changes. If a vector is displaced along a parallel direction, then its value will not change. But if we rotate a vector, then what happens to its value? If the vector is rotated through an angle other than the integral multiple of 2 pi or 360 degree, then its value will change. If a vector is rotated through an angle other than 360 degree or integral multiple of 2 pi, then its value changes. Now, if a number of vectors are arranged, then how we will express them and what is the arrangement? Number 6, if a number of vectors are arranged in such a manner that the terminal point of the first vector coincides with the initial point of the next vector and so on, then the vectors are in same order. That is, if these are the vectors like this is A vector, this is B vector and this is C vector. This is the terminal point of first vector and it coincides with the initial point of the B vector, and the terminal point of a B vector coincides with the initial point of the C vector. So, this type of arrangement of vectors is known as vectors in same order. Vectors in same order. Number 7, if the vectors are arranged in such a manner that their initial points coincide or their terminal points coincide, then they are in opposite order. For example, these three vectors have a common terminal point, that means their terminal points coincide, so they are in opposite order. Or these three vectors have a common initial point, that means their initial points coincide, that is why they are in opposite order. Number 8, what is the angle between two vectors? The angle between two vectors is the smaller angle between their directions when they are in opposite order. What is the angle between two vectors? The angle between two vectors is the smaller angle between their directions when they are in opposite order. That means if this is A vector and this is B vector, their initial points coincide, so they are in opposite order. So the smaller angle between them is known as the angle between the two vectors. If we consider this is C vector and this is D vector, then they are in same order. To calculate the angle between C vector and D vector, what we have to do? We have to displace a C vector along its parallel direction such that their initial points coincide, and the smaller angle between their directions will be the angle between C vector and D vector. Now, what is the maximum angle between two vectors and what is the minimum angle between two vectors? If the two vectors are along the same direction, then the angle between them is 0 degree, which is minimum. And if the two vectors are along opposite directions, then the angle between them is maximum and is 180 degree. So, the minimum angle between two vectors is the 0 degree when they are along same direction. The angle between two vectors is 0 degree when they are in same direction, and 0 degree, this is the minimum angle between two vectors. Similarly, what is the maximum angle between two vectors? Number 10. Similarly, the maximum angle between two vectors is 180 degree when they are along opposite directions. Now, it is all about the introduction of a vector quantity. Now, there are various types of vectors you have known in your plus 2 career, and our sole aim is to do the operations of vectors. And already I have told you that there are three types of physical quantities. One is the number and the ratio, the second one is a scalar, and third one is a vector quantity. But our focus is on vector quantity. For what we have discussed what is a vector quantity, what are its necessary conditions and what are the sufficient conditions, and also we have explained here the different terms associated with the vector like magnitude, direction, vectors in same order, vectors in opposite order, angle between two vectors. So, let us discuss the operations of vector. Operations of a vector. A vector can be operated with a number, with a scalar, and also with a vector. Let us discuss all these operations of a vector with respect to number, scalar, and a vector. A vector can be operated with a number, scalar, and a vector. Let us discuss the operation of a vector with a number. Operations of a vector with a number. The number 1 point, a vector cannot be added with a number. For example, f vector plus 5, not possible. Number 2, a vector cannot be subtracted from a number and vice versa. That is, f vector minus 5 or 5 minus f vector, not possible. But a vector can be multiplied or divided by a number, that is 3f vector, 3 into f vector and f vector by 3 is possible. Number 4, but a number cannot be divided by a vector, that is 3 by f vector, not possible. And if a vector can be multiplied or divided by a number, then what will be the result? If a vector is multiplied by a number, then the result is a vector, and the result represents the same physical quantity as the original physical quantity. The direction of the new vector is the same as the original vector. But what is about the operations of a vector with a scalar? Now, operations of a vector with a scalar. Exactly in the similar manner what we have discussed in case of the operations of a vector with numbers. Here we can also state that a vector cannot be added with a scalar. That means force cannot be added with mass. This is not possible. F plus m is not possible. A vector cannot be subtracted from a scalar and vice versa. That means we cannot subtract a scalar from a vector or a vector from a scalar. This is not possible. Exactly, a vector can be multiplied or divided by a scalar. That means m into f vector is possible and f vector by m is possible, but a scalar cannot be divided by a vector. A scalar cannot be divided by a vector. That means mass cannot be divided by a vector like force. It is not possible. And if a vector is multiplied or divided by a scalar, then what will be the result? If a vector is multiplied with a scalar or divided by a scalar, then the result is a vector, and the result is a new vector which represents the same physical quantity as the original physical quantity. If a vector is multiplied with a scalar, then the result is a vector, and the new vector represents a different physical quantity than the original vectors, but the direction of the new vector is same as the original vector, whereas its magnitude is different from the original vector, and the angle between the new vector and the original vector will be 0. But what is about the operations of a vector with a vector? Now, operations of a vector with a vector. The number 1, a vector quantity can be added with another vector quantity representing the same physical quantity. A vector can be added with a vector if both of them represent the same physical quantity. So, we can write it, a vector can be added with a vector representing the same physical quantity. That means F vector will be added with another force vector. A force vector can be added with another force vector. Possible, but force vector plus velocity vector is not possible. So, vectors can be added only when they represent the same physical quantity. Similarly, a vector can be subtracted from a vector representing the same physical quantity. If the vectors represent different physical quantities, then they cannot be subtracted. For example, force vector can be subtracted from another force vector. This is possible, but force vector cannot be subtracted from velocity vector. This is not possible, or velocity cannot be subtracted from force. Then what is about the multiplication and division of a vector with a vector? Number 3, any vector can be multiplied by any other vector. We can multiply any vector with any other vector, but no vector can be divided by a vector. That means vector by vector not possible, whereas vector into vector possible. From these 4 points we can conclude that we can add similar vectors representing same physical quantity, we can subtract vectors representing same physical quantity, but we can multiply any type of vector and vectors cannot be divided by vectors. While we are discussing about the operations of vectors with numbers and scalars, we have already discussed that number cannot be divided by a vector, scalar cannot be divided by a vector, and now we see that vector cannot be divided by a vector. So, we can conclude that no physical quantity, whether it is number or scalar or vector, cannot be divided by any vector quantity. So, no physical quantity can be divided by a vector quantity. Now, if vector addition is possible, vector subtraction is possible and vector multiplication is possible, then what happens if two vectors are added or subtracted and two vectors are multiplied? Let us discuss one by one. The first one is vector addition. Now, vector addition or subtraction. If two vectors representing the same physical quantities are added or subtracted, then we will get a resultant vector. That means the result of the addition of vectors or subtraction of vectors yield a resultant vector, and the resultant vector has a magnitude as well as a direction, and the magnitude and the direction of the resultant vector can be obtained by the use of three different laws, which are commonly known as the triangle law of vector addition, the parallelogram law of vector addition, and the polygon law of vector addition, from which we know that if there are two vectors, A vector and B vector, inclined to each other at angle theta, then if R is the magnitude of the resultant of A vector plus B vector, then it can be written as A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta root over. This is the expression for the magnitude of the resultant of two vectors, A vector and B vector, inclined to each other at angle theta. Similarly, the direction of the resultant will be represented by tan inverse B sin theta by A plus B cos theta, and this formula represents the direction of the resultant of A vector and B vector inclined to each other at angle theta. This diagram can be like this because these are parallel vectors. Now, this one will be R vector is equal to A vector plus a B vector, and this angle represents the direction of the resultant, where this theta will be here. So, by the use of the formula obtained from triangle law of vector addition or parallelogram law of vector addition, we can add two vectors in same order or in opposite order. Exactly in the similar way, we can subtract two vectors and the magnitude of their resultant will be obtained from this formula, putting the value of theta. And here I finish the recapitulation of vectors. I hope you must have a better understanding. Many thanks.